All right, time now for all things Gators. Dan Hicken and Frangie. What's up, Hick?
Doing great, Frank. Thanks, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Always good to talk orange and blue. But if you have any orthopedic needs in our area, that's Jacksonville, Florida, se-ortho.com. Lots of places to serve you as we talk Gators. Lots of good things happening. I think the big story really in football, and we can start with that if you want, is it's apparent and becoming more apparent that Billy Napier is going to call the plays. That's what he wants to do. It's his program. I don't have as much a problem with it. I just think that the group who don't like Billy Napier just want somebody else to call plays. I don't know how much there is to that. Look, they can be better, but they will be better because they got a great quarterback now. So I have high expectation for the offense this year. What do you think? Does it bother you?
No, it doesn't. I agree with you. And I never thought he was giving it up. What happened is, listen, when he was on the hot seat,
yeah,
big booster base of a lot of guys with a lot of money who got involved, and Billy got involved, and Scott Strickland got involved. And I think there was this belief that Billy was going to, that everyone was going to be happy and the guys are still going to donate all their money as long as Billy brought in a coordinator. I don't know what was actually said, but I never believed he was going to, on offensive coordinator,
yes.
I never believed he was going to do that. And so this is, he believes that's part of his identity. He believes that's a big part of the identity of every team he's ever coached. And there's no chance he was bringing an offensive coordinator. So I'm not surprised. It doesn't bother me, Dan, because I'm not surprised by it. And look, I don't like their offense. I don't like how slow moving it is, the shifting, the pointing, and the clapping, and this thing drives me crazy. But there's bigger concerns. He's done a good job of resuscitating that program. He's recruited well. He brought in a really good quarterback. No, I'm okay with where they are offensively. It wouldn't be my preference. I wish they played with a little more tempo and a guy that I think is a better play caller than him. But there's bigger things to worry about that, because I got a lot of things I want to get to. But I'm okay with the play calling thing, and I'm not surprised, Dan. I didn't think he was bringing in a coordinator.
Yeah. Do you? Speaking of things, look, I think this is a season with offseason with Florida fans having real hope. Okay. Couple things I want to get to. Number one, transfer portal. Florida's done absolutely nothing, which is a little bit surprising to me. They chose, it looks like, and again, it looks like they're spending their money on keeping their guys, okay, which is fine, but I'm still surprised a little bit that they didn't go to he's counting on his guys that he's recruited, which is okay, and he's done okay in the portal too, but he just, I thought for sure he would hit it harder, like an LSU did, right? LSU didn't have the season they wanted. They went and got everybody they could possibly get. Florida's not going to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and it surprised me too.
Yeah,
and it surprised me because he's been good in the portal.
Yeah,
I mean, Pearsall and Badger and DK the receivers, George the right guard, Osiris Torrance the guard, who's one of the best pros now. Montrell Johnson. We can go on and on. They've done well in the portal. Quietly, George Gums, nobody knew him. He was their best pass rusher. So I'm surprised he didn't do more. He did, and you're right, Dan. They did nothing. They went and got one receiver from UCLA who's pretty good. They went and got a punter and a backup quarterback and a pass rusher from UMass, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And I am surprised. I'll tell you this. I do believe he has a good team. You know, the two guys that eat at my craw a little bit, if they still had Pyburn and Searcy, forget the other guys.
Yeah.
Forget anybody else that came out early, went to the NFL, got to the portal. If they had the whole team they have now, plus Pyburn and Searcy, which meant they'd have those 5 or 6 really good edge guys, I think they might be a top 10 team. Those are the two guys that eat at me. Do you feel that way? Those are the two that eat at me the most. You feel that way?
Well, for sure. I think those two bother me too. I mean, and the way it went down, we've chronicled it on this show with Jack Pyburn, and I get it, you know, from Florida's point being disappointed. I'm disappointed in Jack Pyburn and the advice he got and all that, but we've already covered that. But yeah, I'd love to have those two guys. I think they got a lot of good young players, but they're all going to have to step up. It's okay. Ohio State won a national championship, right? And they won a national championship because they plugged in spots. Right now, they needed a quarterback, so that's a little bit different. but they plugged in certain spots, and it obviously helped them win a national championship. But there is one key to winning the Natty, and I saw this, Frank. Get your opinion. This is no surprise. Last 6 national champions sent the most guys on their football team to the NFL. And they feel like Ohio State might beat Georgia's record of 15. Ohio State might have 16 or 17 guys get drafted. But if you go look at the last 6, be it the 2 Georgia schools, be it Alabama, be it LSU when Eddie O was there, all those teams had the most players drafted. So when you recruit, baby, recruit with the idea, is this guy going to be in the league? Because if he is, we want him.
And that's never changed, Dan.
Right.
You win with dudes. You can have all the
right.
pitching and game plans and schemes in the world. The guy that wins has the most as good a coach as Nick Saban was. He won because he had all the dudes. Okay. The guys that Urban Meyer had all the dudes. Spurrier's the one guy that probably won with scheme a little bit more than some others, but you got to have the players. So no, I agree with that. Look, I like what Florida's football team is. I like what they have. As I look at the team that they're going to put on the field next year, there's not a lot of weak areas. I wish there was another defensive lineman or two. That concerns me. I'm concerned about what they're going to do with the offense. You know, we're watching these games. DJ Lagway, if you remember his high school tape, Dan,
yeah,
he's a great runner, not just passer. Well, if you watched that game last night, we're recording this on Tuesday, so last night was the Notre Dame Ohio State game. Both those quarterbacks made big plays as runners.
Yep.
DJ, because he was hurt this year, couldn't run at all. But I hope when he comes back healthy, the DJ Lagway running packages are huge, man, huge. And I hope we have that. My only concern is, will they do enough offensively? I love their running back room.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good young receivers. They got to play some. They got one veteran receiver they brought in. Dan, there's not. What's your biggest concern with the roster? Because I like the roster. I wish there was 1 or 2 more defensive linemen. But other than that, I like the roster. I really do.
I saw too that the kid from Washington who was hurt early last year, the defensive back, applied for a medical extra year. Yeah. So we'll see if he gets it. Really, in college, man, they might as well just let everybody stay for as long as they want. I mean, it's just beyond ridiculous. But that's for another day. I want to ask you this question before we turn our attention to hoops, and we need to get to hoops. Expectations are real in Florida this time. They're not made up. There's no, I'm looking for hope. Florida needs to be in the top 15 this year, and it has to have a legitimate shot at making the playoff. I think that's fair, and I think that should be the expectation going forward. What say you?
I totally agree with you. I think it is the expectation. It's a fair expectation.
Yeah.
The reality is, whether people want to admit this or not, it's still a brutal schedule. It's
brutal.
It's 100% last year's, but because some of the quarterbacks came out, the LSU guy didn't come out, by the way.
Right.
It's still. I mean, again, here's what we learned: 3 losses, you're not in. We learned that this year. Okay, so to get to the playoffs, you got to keep it to 2 losses. That's going to be tough. Now, having said that, I love Lagway. If DJ here, let's not overthink this. They've got enough of the pieces on every part of in every position. They got to stay healthy. If DJ Lagway takes that step that we all think he's going to take, they're going to be a top 5, top 10 team. That's reality, and he's got to stay healthy. You know, one thing those Final 4 teams had, Final 2 last night and the Final 4, their quarterbacks were healthy.
Yeah.
Okay? Georgia's quarterback wasn't, and they got dispatched.
Yeah.
Right? So you've somehow DJ's got to be. Florida's had awful luck with quarterback health.
Every year in Napier, he's lost his starting quarterback for a period of time. So
you can't do that. You got FSU lost a chance to win a national title because they lost their quarterback a couple years ago. Napier's lost his quarterback. You got to have. So does that mean you don't run your quarterback? I don't think so. I think you run your quarterback. I think that's part of what he is. So, but I like where their football team is. I'm looking forward to the spring game. They've announced it. I think it's April 12th at 1:00. I think spring football is going to be fun this year. I would like to see a few more portal additions. I'd like to see him get the one cornerback that's committed to to Tennessee.
Yep.
Onis, if they can add him.
Look at you. Nice pull, Frank.
Kind of a recruiting guy now. You've taught.
I'm telling you.
You're my mentor
done.
And recruiting. And so there is that. So, but I like their football team. I like where they are. One more thing. I do think there's a chance they bring in a defensive coordinator. They're going to bring in a general manager. Mm-hmm. They're not going to bring in an offensive coordinator. keep an eye. Austin Armstrong's gone, so they have an open position. I'm not sure they love the Ron Roberts guy. I think there's some concern. I think there was some dysfunction on the staff that centered around him a little bit. I don't know the details, and I'm not going to pretend to. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is one move out there if they went in and brought in a veteran defensive coordinator. Keep an eye on that one.
All right, certainly something to watch. All right, let's talk hoops. Tough loss to Missouri, but a nice bounce-back win against Texas. Florida in a good spot. SEC got to bring it every night. If they haven't learned that now, they're not going to learn it. There's a lot to like about this basketball team. The criticisms are really just nitpicking. And then, of course, off the court with the coaches, who knows what's going on with these Title IX investigations. I guess everybody will know when they release the findings, but crazy stuff with that. Just your top 5 team in the country, real legitimate shot at being a Final Four team, perhaps. Florida basketball is in a good place.
I think they are a Final Four. They're a potential Final Four team. They're interesting. The Title IX stuff, there's no point in talking about it because I don't know anything about it. We could guess all day long. I don't know. What I do know about the basketball team, Missouri was a great wake-up call for them because you have to bring in that league. You have to bring it every night. And look, as talented as Florida is, and they're very talented, there's no lottery picks on this team. Okay, there's nobody on this team that's a guaranteed NBA player. I think London's got a chance. I think Clayton can make a G League team and maybe work his way in one of those 2-way contracts. But there's no NBA, there's no lottery guys running and dunking on people. What they've got is 8 guys who are damn good, tough, hard-nosed, physical college basketball players. They've got size, they've got length, they've got shooting. And what I like is their guards are old, Dan. Their guards are 22 and 23, and their bodies have developed, and their young guys are long and play hard. So they've got the pieces, but they win with toughness. They win because they out-rebound you, because they get those 50-50 balls. And if they don't do that, they're not going to beat the really skilled teams. They're not. It's going to be they're 3-2 in the league. Look, get to 10 wins, man. That right? I mean, it looked when they looked so good, it looked like they were going to be a 13-5 team in the league. It doesn't work like that. I think 12-6 might win the league this year. Do you agree with that? I think it might win the league.
Absolutely. I think this would be a good week for Florida to sweep their games. Now, they could easily lose them both. South Carolina has a great player. South Carolina should have beat Auburn last week and didn't. But it's at South Carolina. So, and listen, you're always going to get everybody's best shot now because you're a good team. They know about you. And then you have Georgia at home. So 2 fun games this week, but a good week to sweep. I was hoping they would do that last week. It's interesting that the 2 teams who beat them shot lights out.
Right.
Kentucky shot lights out and Missouri shot lights out. Missouri hung up, 50 on them in a half, which you just can't allow. It was frustrating for me. And again, nitpicking stuff, but I don't ever want to hear my basketball team is flat when you got 2 games a week and you're 20 years old and you got 30 chances. I mean, you should be ready for and you got a packed house. So, but so like you said, we'll look at it as a wake up call and we'll see how they do. I think good test this week though, and a good chance to find a couple W's, but no guarantees. That's for sure.
I totally agree with everything you said. And that Missouri game was the wake up call for that being ready to play. One other thing is the Texas game was a perfect example of what they are. Texas has 2 or 3 lottery picks, okay?
Oh, yeah. That number 20 is going to lead the SEC in scoring as a freshman. Ooh, he's good.
Texas has guys who are going to be in the association.
Yeah.
Florida doesn't. But Florida's got more hard-nosed, tough athletic guys. And it beat them by 24 points. So the team with 2 lottery picks by 24 points. So you're going to play team. Kentucky's going to have lottery picks. You're built more like Tennessee and Alabama, and so. But no, I think it's going to be a good year. Again, I'm not going to get into the Title IX stuff because I don't know anything about it. But I get to that, Dan. They got to get to. They're 3-2 in the league. Get to those 10 wins. I don't think they're headed to 13 wins.
Right.
If you're 10-8 in the league, that means you're 23-8 overall. That means no matter what happens in the conference tournament, you're at worst a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I wouldn't want to play them in that damn tournament. I can tell you that.
But you're saying, and I like what you're saying, but get to 10 is important, but there is potential for them to be, to get 11 or 12 and be a 2 or 3 seed as well, for sure.
No question. The ceiling is real, but just get to 10. Get to 10 and then I think it's going to, because I will tell you, they're built for I'm getting ahead of myself here. They're built for the tournament.
Yeah.
Tournament teams are long.
Yep.
They've guards.
Yep. Guards play too. Guard play. Yep.
You got veterans and guards, and so they're built for the NCAA tournament. So we'll get it. So good times in Gator sports. We'll get to baseball next time we do one of these. They're going to be, by the way, might be as good a team as he's had. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So
that would be nice. I again, SEC baseball, right up there with SEC basketball, man. Football is no good anymore, but basketball, baseball.
That's right. We can't even get a game we can't even get a team in the final two.
I mean, what are we doing?
I agree with you. So, but that's all things Gators. Dan Hicken and Frangie.
Yeah, and thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, se-ortho.com for all your orthopedic needs. Frank, we'll catch you next time. Have a great week.
You too, Aaron.
All right, see you, bud.